and gentlemen, there are only two certainties in life: death and taxes, or let's say more taxes. There is a proposal on the GST Council's table that, if green signaled, could raise taxes on clothes, shoes, watches. But the worst is in store for cigarette smokers. Let me explain. In a major move, the group of ministers on GST rate rationalization has proposed significant tax hikes on key sin and lifestyle items. In fact, the group of ministers has even discussed creating an all-new tax slab of 35%, which will, just by the way, be the fifth slab. All of them there. Now, we already have existing slabs of 5%, of 12%, of 18%, and 28%. Now, if the proposal goes through, there will be an additional tax bracket of 35%. Can you imagine that? The government of India, in fact, the group of ministers in total has proposed rate tweaks on 148 items, with their recommendations set to be discussed by the GST Council on 21st of December. Now, before we deliberate on the implications of the suggestions, let me quickly run you through the changes that are being proposed. Items like tobacco products, which are called sin products, and aerated beverages may see a steep hike from 28% to 35%. So if you're a cigarette smoker, you will need to be prepared to pay more indirect taxes, because on cigarettes, on tobacco items, the tax rate could be hiked up to 35% if the proposal goes through. Luxury items are also under scrutiny, with apparels priced above specific thresholds facing a proposed tax increase from 5 to 12% to 28%. 28%. So if your chicken kurta, for example, is above 10,000 rupees, you probably will have to pay a 28% tax on it if these proposals are passed. Luxury shoes above 15,000. They are moving from the 18% bracket to the 28% bracket if the proposal goes through. Wristwatches over 25,000 rupees, similarly seeing a jump to the 28% tax category. On the other hand, there are some affordable goods which may see some relief. For example, bicycles priced between 10,000 could drop from 12% to 5%. Exercise notebooks that children use, they could go down from 12% to 5%, and packaged drinking water above 20 liters could go down from 18% to 5%. The better news is this: when it comes to insurance premiums, medical insurance premiums, they are currently taxed at 18%, a big bane for India's urban middle class. Well, there is a proposal that could be reduced to 5%, potentially easing financial burdens for consumers. In fact, if you remember, this is a suggestion that Nitin Gadkari has been repeatedly making. Seems that Nirmala Sitharaman has been listening intently. Now, the intent behind these suggestions remains clear: revenue. Remember, the government doesn't have money of its own. It needs to generate that money for all the spendings via taxes, direct taxes that we pay on our income, and then indirect taxes when we step out to spend our income, whatever is left of it after paying taxes. Well, the government then taxes you more on that. Those are called indirect taxes. The government believes that raising taxes on luxuries while reducing them for daily essentials is considered beneficial for consumers and the economy. But ladies and gentlemen, we live in a country where the salaried urban class has an exorbitantly high tax burden. It's also a country where the direct tax slabs are so outdated that a person earning a CTC of 1.5 lakh rupees a month technically pays the same percentage of tax as someone earning 75 lakh rupees a month. With indirect taxes also now reaching a potential ceiling of 35%, we have to ask, is the urban salaried Indian being unfairly taxed to pay for the government's indulgences? Let me introduce my guest this evening. Tehseen continues to be with us, and Kishore Subramaniam is a financial expert joining us on the broadcast as well. Mr. Subramaniam, for the urban middle class, people like me, possibly people like you, thank you everyone. I can see Anulal on the screen as well, a lawyer, author, and a very authoritative citizen voice as well. Kishore, I'm coming to you first. I mean, for all of us, for people like Anu and me, there is something called death by taxes. And that is exactly what seems to be happening. I pay a tax on my salary, 30%. And then when I go to buy a chicken kurta for 10,000 rupees, I'm now being told, pay 28% tax on that as well. अरे भाई मेरी जितनी बची कुची salary है उससे whatever I choose to buy, why are you increasing my indirect taxes on that?
Okay, so good evening to all my panelists, and let me first tell you one thing. Death by taxes is a very strong term you're using. If I give you the snapshot of taxes in other countries like America, Europe, or Australia, you would understand that the nominal tax for anybody earning reasonably well, despite the fact of the matter that per capita income in those countries are very high, is around 42 to 45%, including the fact that you shouldn't forget globally that incomes are taxed globally. For example, if you are an Indian living in America, you pay taxes on income earned anywhere in the world. So remember, India is not an isolated country. Point number one. Point number two, you need to understand that what are the taxes. So there are four categories. You need to understand basic essentials. Then we come to the consumption. Then we go to the last slab, which is luxury. Now, luxury is where it is getting increased. And by the way, luxury is getting increased means if you're talking of somebody who is able to afford a watch north of 15,000, which is less than 5% of Indians, you're going to tax them. Now, your question that you asked me, Shreya, in particular to your income and being taxed on even kurtas, which are or garments which are more than 1,500 rupees, you need to understand that the government of India and the GOM, which is formulating these policies, needs to look at India at a 30,000 feet level at a macroeconomics and the numbers. The numbers clearly speak that 95 to 98% of Indians do not fall in that category. And coming to sin items, I don't agree to the fact that it is categorized as sin items. But yes, if it is done in the benefit of health as a purpose, then it's great. But yes, I have a complaint with the government of India on one fact. If you are not able to eliminate GST on term policy and health insurance, and you are waiting for the recommendation, I think that is something which we need to condemn very strongly, because these are basics for survival and the families are dependent on it.
I agree with you there. There I am with you. And if the group of ministers actually brings down the GST on our term insurance and our medical insurance premiums down to 5%, I will be the happiest person. But I am not very happy with the way the government is categorizing luxury items. Because I work hard, I work for 10 hours a day, I pay my taxes, 30%, and then if I want to spend my salary and want to buy a watch which is 25,000 rupees, which just by the way doesn't qualify as luxury, why should I have to pay an indirect tax of 28% on it? I agree that the government needs money, लेकिन सारा पैसा क्या urban middle class से ही लेना है? Kishore Subramaniam, second point, when you are saying you don't have a problem with 35% on tobacco because it may also do some good to the health of this country. If the government is so worried about the health of this country, they should just ban cigarettes and tobacco products and even ban alcohol in this country. सबसे अच्छा तो health के लिए वो ही होगा ना किशोर जी. ये hypocrisy कब तक चलेगा?
No, let me just give you two quick rebuttals on it. One, the point is that should we rationalize GST at 18% nominal number for every good? I'm good for it, and I think it will average out. That can be done, and I eventually feel someday that will happen. Point number two, 25,000 rupees for an urban middle class. Yes, Shreya, whether you like the data or not, you and I are in less than 3% of Indians who earn more and can afford 25,000 rupees watch. So it is luxury for pan India. Point number two, अगर आपको टैक्सी करना है तो अल्कोहल बैन कर दो, सिगरेट बैन कर दो. We are not running a Sharia country. We can't ban anything that we want the way we are. You are not able to take out a bad law, a farm law. Forget about banning cigarette and alcohol. So understand, banning is never a solution. Ban bans. That is very important. But I would like to listen to the other panelists who have opinions on this fact of the matter. And Shreya, I'm telling you, macroeconomics looks much different than fancy debates on TV news channels. The number is that the average Indian income median is 2,800 rupees per capita. What is that? 1.7 lakhs a year. And you're talking of 1.5 lakhs, 6 lakhs per month.
Are Tehseen, come on. Okay, give us your point.
Good evening, Shreya. The arguments of the privileged. Oh my God, $2,800 is the per capita income of India. Remove the top 5%, Shreya, that the gentleman was arguing about. And India's per capita income falls down to 1,130, less than sub-Saharan countries. But you come on national TV, but you come on national. Sir, I never interrupted you. Please have manners. But you come on national TV and we spew whatever the WhatsApp University teaches you. On a side note, Australia, we are not a Sharia country. Australia banned social media for kids below 16. WhatsApp should be banned in India for especially government WhatsApps. But let me come to the issue. Shreya, GST was conceived as a goods and service tax, a simple tax. What it's become under this government and under the honorable current finance minister is an extortion tax. If you want oxygen, pay GST on it. I have paid GST on it during COVID. The government's charge oxygen, GST on oxygen. If you die, Shreya, pay GST on your coffin. And in between that, if you want to somehow live this life of $1,130, you have to pay GST on your health insurance. This is a government of extortionists. And middle-class people like you and I, after paying our taxes, after now paying long-term capital gains and short-term capital gains, if we want to enjoy a cold drink or some other sin item that the government says as adults that we want to, or just buy an expensive kurta or expensive jeans, we now have to pay even more because the government thinks we are privileged. That is what this government is coming to. And what will they do with your money and my money, Shreya? They will dole out schemes so that they are re-elected. If the government is so short of money, why are they buying new planes and new cars for themselves? Why are they living in palatial houses? Please let go of half your security arrangements. They won't do all of that. They won't cut down on their luxuries. They will not cut down on the freebies they're giving. They want to crush us, the middle class, Shreya. They want to crush us, the honest taxpayer, tax-paying people. Share your money. If taxes are cut and it comes into your account. It is these government and their babus who are making these policies, who have all the money that goes around, who are investing all the money, and then they dole out the freebies for people that they want to go out, the ravedy culture. Why don't you cut that down? Why are you taxing us? After I've paid my taxes, and I think that it should be GST, we should be two simple brackets, 5% and a cap at 18%, but 5% and 12%. Roti, kapda, makan at 5%, everything else at 12%, maximum cap at 18%, that too with permission of parliament and a two-third majority, not more than that. You've made it such a complicated tax, 5 slabs. What is the government doing? This has become extortion. This is debt by extortion. And I'll just end with one example. My uncle has a hotel in Mumbai. And you know how these guys extort? So hotels is a dynamic business, right? So the rooms are a dynamic business. So if the room is empty tonight, you might sometimes give it at a lesser rate. Sometimes in a day, if the hotel sold out, the same room price will be higher. Then these guys even extort you on that. There is tax terrorism going in our country. And therefore, Shreya, India is seeing the highest migration of the working class out of India. And where are all of them going? They're all going to Dubai and Singapore. And we've had this debate on your show because of this extortion and this tax terrorism under the current finance minister. And I repeat, WhatsApp should be banned for people in India.
Okay. Okay, I'll get to Kishore in just a bit because I have a specific question for him. Anulal, would you want to come into this debate? So, see, the point is these are still just proposals. We don't know whether they'll go through or not, but the fact is there has been a big backlash after media reports put this out. So, if you go to social media, there's been a big backlash on especially this 35% new tax slab that is being created. I want to know from you, as a common citizen watching all of this, what is it that you feel? Do you feel that as India's middle class, you're being taken for a ride? एक तो इस country में सब tax देते नहीं, जो tax देते हैं उन्हीं पे आप और tax लाते रहो.
Shreya, I'll take 2 minutes to sum up my argument. So on the question of sin tax on products like tobacco or alcohol, sugary drinks, actually they are welcome. And frankly, maybe gambling should also be added on this. The government cares about our health and welfare. No arguments there. But then the irony is that consumer behavior doesn't change by slapping taxes, And on the other hand, our health and welfare, for which these taxes are supposed to be there, is totally compromised. Our rivers are polluted. The air is polluted. There are flooding, lack of drainage. So we are taxing like the first world with infrastructure like, I don't know, like the 10th world maybe. So if we have these sin taxes on sugary drinks, taxes on tobacco, fund them, fund programs to help people overcome their addictions, tab to koi fayda hoga. I know it's an accounting hassle and a nightmare, but at least spend it on welfare. When tax revenues are allocated to the states, then corporations should use them on citizen focused product. मतलब ले लो हमसे tax, but at least हम पे खर्च तो करो with crystal clear accountability. So a sin tax can become a welfare tax if it is used to fix my roads so that I don't break my back going to work, navigating potholes. But then if these taxes are going to go into some unaccounted black hole, then it is just another way of increasing taxes. So, I mean, my point is, I say yes to sin tax, but ensuring that the government is spending money on our betterment, हमारे पे खर्च करो.
Okay, Kishore Subramania, here's the point. And let's just look at the larger point here. Wasn't GST supposed to be the simple tax? That is its tagline, right? That it's simple. One nation, one tax, GST is simple. How's this simple if I walk into a store in Lucknow? For one piece of clothing, I pick up 5% tax. For another piece of clothing, I pick up 12% tax. And for yet another piece of clothing I pick up, now I'm being told 28% tax. This is self-defeating. This is a self-defeating exercise.
Okay, Shreya, first I would like to give you two counterpoints on what you asked us a question. But before that, I have huge respect for Mr. Tehsin. He is one of the sane voices in the country, despite the fact that I don't subscribe to the party that he supports. That's a very different point. But he laughed out at me thinking that I'm qualified from the WhatsApp University. Just to clarify, Mr. Tehsin, I'm a qualified financial consultant. And despite the fact that you took a pot shot at me, I still have my respects on you because you're one of the sane voices. Okay. Now, let me tell you 2-3 things. Shreya, answering your point first. See, GST has considerably reduced the tax efficiency mechanism, the tax distribution mechanism, and also ensured that one nation, one tax is a simple concept. Now, when you are asking me the question specific to an activity that you do in a retail store in any city in India, simple tax does not mean simply no tax. So let's not confuse these two. Simple tax means the structure has been simplified. Before GST, before 2017, Shreya, touch your heart and tell me how difficult was it for an e-way bill? How much time it used to take for a transport company to transport goods because of octroi and various other taxes? And how complex was the mechanism? Now, yes, these things are done in a country of 144 Indians, and simplifying the entire structure will take time. I know that there is much better that could be done, but it will be done. Now, coming to Mr. Tehsin's point that this is tax exhaustion. If Mr. Tehsin is talking as a sane voice with his sensibilities, which I have heard him and known him, I don't think so he's going to talk this. But if he's going to put his facade of being a Congress supporter and talking and use the terminologies like extortion, Gabbar Singh tax, I think he is representing himself as a Congress representative. He has every right to do so. But let me tell you for a fact of the matter that just simply looking at the GST collection and numbers and the dependency of the government on the indirect tax as a single source, I think sanity has to be applied in terms of collecting revenues. And by the way, all the decisions taken in the GST are not central government. So Tehsin's charge on the union government is wrong because it is 28 people who decide and all the states have representation in direct proportion. So if he's pointing one finger, there are three fingers at him. And the fact of the matter that extortions is an extreme word. And last but not the least, on a lighter note, I like to say that
Kishore,
Tehsin, when I write you on Twitter, you can always reply. There is no GST on that.
Acha Kishore, I have 10 seconds. Just respond to Anu Lal, who's a citizen, a right-minded, civic-minded citizen. वो कह रही है ले लो पैसे, लेकिन उस पैसे से कुछ काम भी तो कर दो, सड़कें ही ठीक करवा दो. Try and clean up our air. The point is, we keep paying taxes, but we don't know what these taxes are doing for us.
आप ये मत बोलिए कुछ काम किए, जितना काम किया ना ऐसा कोई काम नहीं किया, कोई 70 साल में कोई गवर्नमेंट किया नहीं, बारिंग वाजपेयी. So let's be grateful to the government for what they have done.
Anu, I will give you 10 seconds if you want to respond.
Shreya, I want to respond quickly.
Yeah, so I basically want to
minute,
sum up,
huh.
my argument saying, Shreya, I'm sorry about your chicken kurta, but frankly, I definitely welcome the tax on sugary drinks and tobacco because they are health hazards. But use that money effectively.
Okay.
That is my point.
Yeah, quickly. I have a right to respond.
Okay, Kishore is saying बहुत अच्छा काम हो रहा है. All the tax money is being used for citizens'
Shreya, I
benefit.
have a right
Anyhow,
to respond.
There's in 10 seconds. I'm out of time.
Shreya, if you want to charge us as first world countries, give us first world infrastructure. If somebody dies outside the gate, there won't be an ambulance. But more importantly, let me make two very important points. 33% in the GST Council is a union government's weightage. 33%. That's why I said, please, let's leave WhatsApp. 33%. And most of the state governments are run by the BJP. If they didn't want this extortion, they would not
That
want
is
it. This
because
is
BJP
extortion.
wins elections.
33. This is extortion. This is extortion. It's not a simple tax. One jeans will be 5%, one jeans will be 28%. This is nothing but extortion and not simple taxes. This is as complicated as WhatsApp University.
Okay.
Okay.
These are wrong but you know,
charges.
Kishore has a point. What can he do if most of the 28 people on the GST Council are BJP members because, well, the BJP rules most of the states in India. We'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you. This has been a good discussion. Kishore Subramania, good to have you on the show. Tehseen, thank you very much. And Anurag, thank you very much as well. Ladies and gentlemen, with Acha, theek hai. Good night, good night. Let's all go home and have dinner. Thank you, everyone. Good night. Thanks for watching.